Hello, friends. What drives all the living things in our world? It's the desire to live. But there are situations when this desire isn't enough, and a true miracle is needed in order to survive. Now I'd like to share with you a story of a very strong dog named Barilla. No one knows how and where Barilla was born. Was it right on the street? Or did she once have a nice home that she was kicked out of? We only know her story from the moment when the poor dog was found, which happened by complete accident. One of the volunteers was leaving the store when he saw a strange creature somewhat resembling a dog. After petting her, he didn't waste another second and took her directly to one of the rescue centers located in Granada, Spain. The dog's condition was so dire that it was impossible to look at her without tears. She didn't even look like a dog anymore, but rather its shadow. The shelter employees didn't understand how the poor animal could even manage to keep standing up, but it didn't last long, and soon the dog fell to the ground, unable to stand up any longer. Barilla was emaciated to such an extent that one could literally count all her bones just by looking at her. It was no surprise that the animal's internal organs began to fail, and her condition was deteriorating by the second. The staff at the rescue center were sure that they couldn't do anything for Barilla at this point, and simply shrugged at the sight of her. However, the center's owner, Eduardo Rodriguez, didn't agree with this premise, and he wasn't about to let the dog die. He personally took on Barilla's rehabilitation and firmly decided that he would do anything to get the dog back on her paws. And not just to get her to stand up, but to make sure she returns to living a full life, completely healthy and happy. It took Eduardo Rodriguez several months, but Barilla changed beyond recognition. And I'd like to note that Eduardo is not even a vet, nor is he a rehabilitation specialist. He's just a man with a big and kind heart. The dog's recovery was simply overwhelming, says Rodriguez. One of the center's veterinarians said that any other dog would have died a long time ago. Barilla was exhausted and starving, and on top of that, her organs were failing. It's nearly impossible to get an animal in this condition to ever return to a full life. Yes, it was nearly impossible, but Rodriguez still did it. Her will to live is what exactly made the miracle happen. It is thanks to her desire to survive that we are now inseparable, continued the new friend and owner of the happy and cheerful Barilla. When I first saw Barilla, she was exhausted, but so eager to live. That's when I knew that I would do everything I can to make sure the dog survives, and that's exactly what happened. It's so great when these kinds of stories have a happy ending. I hope Barilla gets to live a long and happy life. How do you feel about stray dogs who spend every single day struggling to survive in this world? It makes us feel sad, and that's why we are always happy to hear about the opening of a new animal shelter, which intends to care for the stray animals. We're happy for both the people who were able to open it and for the animals, who will now have a place where they could go to get help. Our next story is about Millie, who was literally dying of thirst. The little thing couldn't find water for several days and was severely dehydrated. She was suffering and had already come to terms with her sad fate. The dog has completely lost all interest in life. When the volunteers discovered the animal and brought the poor little thing to Victor Larkhill's new private shelter, no one dared to make any predictions about her because the dog was in critical condition. The team of volunteers spared no efforts caring for the animal. Volunteer veterinarians eased the dog's suffering and came up with a treatment plan. It took 3 months to get the dog back to normal. But after all the suffering, Millie was so grateful to her rescuers that she never stopped giving them her love. The dog never forgot what her old life was like. Since the miraculous recovery, she wags her tail all the time. She's happy, and she makes her new human friends happy as well. A family from Western Galicia volunteered to adopt Millie. One of the volunteers working in Victor's team happily agreed to take the dog to her new home. The new family had a large house and a lot of land. When Millie got there, she was very excited. She was very interested in the new place and wanted to see who lived there. The family already had a dog, and the owners were worried how the animals would get along with each other. They worried for nothing. The two dogs immediately became friends, as if an invisible connection was established between them. The old dog helped the new one to get used to the new place. Little Millie finally caught a break, and it was all possible thanks to the kind people who played the key role in her fate. Do you know how and when the first animal shelters were established? One of the first known shelters for stray dogs was established in Japan, near the city of Edo, now Tokyo, in 1695 at the initiative of the shogun Tokugawa Tsunayoshi. Known by the nickname Inu Kobo or Dog Shogun. The shelter was maintained at the expense of the taxpayers and had 270 employees who were supposed to do whatever it took to keep the dogs happy and to make sure that they didn't get into fights with each other. Moreover, 2-hour lectures on Confucianism were held for the dogs after dinner. The first animal shelters in the United States were established in the 19th century. In 1883, the Capital Area Humane Society was founded in Ohio. The shelter's main goal is to find new owners for the homeless animals. It's operated by volunteers aged 16 and older. They care for the dogs, get them treatment when necessary, walk them, and check on them at their new homes. In Australia, the first Lost Dogs Home was founded in 1912 and is now the third largest shelter in the country. As in the United States, shelters are charity organizations in this country as well. They are supported by donations from regular citizens. Here, the dogs don't have time to actually become strays living on the street. It's customary to report lost animals to shelters, and volunteers immediately come to pick them up. Under the 1994 Domestic Animals Act, the owner has 8 days to claim the lost dog. The animal gets examined by a vet. If the dog has a serious, incurable disease that makes it suffer, it is put to sleep. In Ireland, the first officially registered shelter for abandoned and starving cats was founded in 1885 in Dublin. Some shelters specialize in cats or dogs of certain breeds. For example, the Golden Ending Shelter USA takes in homeless spaniels, while Bearded Collie Rescue Support helps collie dogs, and the Spanish SOS Galgos rescues greyhounds. In some shelters, for example in the Canadian Animal Aid Shelter, it is allowed to euthanize the dogs in exceptional cases, such as when the animal is highly aggressive. And that's all for today. Share your thoughts about this video in the comments. Like it and don't forget to share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.